Hey everyone, this is Lorenzo DC coming at you again with a new year of NBA 2K with NBA 2K17. I had a request from someone at Operation Sports to do another triangle offense video, so here we go. Here's an introduction to triangle offense in this year's edition of the game. So the first thing we want to review quickly is the spacing in the triangle offense. I'm not going to do a deep dive on sort of the fundamental basketball stuff with triangle offense as I did last year, but let me show you a little bit about spacing here. So just to show you here, we go into space the floor and make sure we're set up in the triangle offense. I'm using the Knicks here. By the way, if you use the Knicks and play with the Knicks, a lot of times with Kristaps Porzingis on the floor, the default offense will not be triangle. It'll be far out one end, so you'll want to set this manually. So here you see the classic spacing without people moving all around of the triangle offense. You're going to have these positions on the floor occupied typically. See, the triangle offense just got reset on this side of the court. You have a man in the corner, a man up top, a man on the wing, and two guys on the blocks. If you move the ball to another space, you're going to see people move around to different places to occupy these positions on the court, and this can be mirror imaged on the other side of the court as well. Recall that in the triangle offense, any player on the court can be in any one of these spots as the ball moves around. So you can have a big player, a power forward, or a center in any one of those top positions out around the key as people move the ball around. The way the offense works is that people pass the ball and move and cut in and around these positions, and it's not so dependent on bigs being assigned to a certain spot on the court. If you're going to play with the triangle offense and you're not very familiar with it, just go into a practice mode like this, hit space the floor in your options, and just pass the ball around and get a feel for where people are going to be located on the court. Once you get into the offense and you start moving around with it, you'll see how it flows and what kinds of shots it's going to give you, but see how it sets up. If you actually connect the dots of all these players, you have a bunch of little triangles all around, and that's why the offense is called that. So if you're going to play the offense in 2K17, you'll want to set your offensive actions to motion cuts, not scoring actions. If you put scoring actions, you're not going to get the full flow and motion of the triangle offense in NBA 2K17. So under motion cuts, you begin to see now instead of people staying in one place, they're kind of moving around, and you pass the ball around and people are moving to try to help you set up some shots and get some cuts to the basket. It's different from the way I had it in Space the Floor a minute ago. But you'll also notice that you really can't tell a whole lot of what's going on because you'll want to do what I'm doing right here, right now, which is go into your coach settings and make sure you're what they call the play art, which is all those lines on the court where the CPU tells you, where to pass, where people are moving. You don't have to stick with that stuff religiously, but at least gives you an idea of how the offense is setting up for what certain kinds of shots. You'll want to be able to see that stuff. So here, as I hold the ball, there was a recommendation to pass down low. The pass wasn't there. It flashed really quickly. And now I have all these options for different passes. If you miss any one of those actions, passes, don't worry. The motion is going to create new possibilities for you. You don't have to wait for an arrow to come. If you hold the ball in one place for a little bit, you'll probably get an arrow unless the CPU thinks you should be isolating, as it did there with Carmelo Anthony. But you've got all these little lines giving you ideas of what to do and when to do it. And the idea with the triangle offense is you're generating all this motion and you're going to put the ball to where you have someone who's in a good position to receive the ball, so that once that happens, other people will move around and you'll try to get a shot. The idea here is it's not really using pick and rolls. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's just creating a lot of cuts to the basket, a lot of little, here's some handoff action coming around the top. So the idea here is to move the ball, and because the offense allows any player, including the bigs, to be anywhere on the court. This is why the triangle offense tends to emphasize bigs who can pass the ball pretty well. This is also why Phil Jackson has traditionally used point guards who are not sort of traditional point guards who run the pick and roll and just pass, but bigger point guards who can move in this flow-based offense, sometimes a little bit bigger so that they can handle being on the block, and they don't have to be such flashy ball handlers or shot creators. The offense relies on the motion of the offense and the players moving around and opportunistically finding players who are open for a shot by moving the ball. That's how shots are created in the triangle offense. So I'm just showing you some of these clips. I'm not really commenting on these ones right now, but giving you some typical actions that you can see for what the triangle is going to do. If you wanted to get a little bit deeper into some of these classic actions and branches in the triangle offense and how they operate, I recommend you look at my NBA 2K16 triangle offense video where I break down more of the pure basketball pieces of what the triangle is looking for and what are the typical motions that you're going to see. You'll get a feel for it just by practicing with it in NBA 2K17, but it's different this year in NBA 2K17 because the triangle offense is much deeper in a sense and much more dynamic in 2K17. So in 2K16, I spent a lot of time labbing it to almost memorize 90% of the actions that you're going to see, and you could actually do that in NBA 2K16. In 2K17, it's a lot more dynamic with players making reads, and ACE, the adaptive coaching engine, is going to give you different actions based on the players you have on the floor and also the way you set up your game plan. So your game plan in when you're actually playing a game, you can't get it in practice mode, is if you set things like, oh, I want to play through a certain player. It's going to give you a little bit more, give a little bit more attention and priority to the way players move based on your game plan. But probably in the way 2K17 works, because this is not an offense that works well in scoring actions, it's probably best to keep, not to limit the triangle offense by setting your game plan too tightly to one player because it'll cut down how many options and how much motion you get in different kinds of situations. Using a game plan like that works best when you play an offense, almost any other offense, maybe other than Princeton in NBA 2K17, that gives you specific actions and new things in the scoring actions setting. If you want more information on that, check out the Triangle Offense Community Wiki information thread over on Operation Sports. So these are all, that's a nice little cut from Carmelo. That was a kind of a dynamic read. He had an open, like little spot in the corner, but the pass didn't come, so he made a cut to the basket. Here in this clip, there's a little interesting branch I'd never seen before, where look at this. There's a little flash where Kristaps gets that option to kind of dribble it around the top of the key. I haven't seen that. I tried to hang on to this play. Watch me try to go back to that to see if I can make that happen again. I couldn't get it to happen again. It's kind of rare. It's sort of one of those rare dynamic reads and situations that can come up. So you won't always be able to predict what's going to happen around the basic triangle action. So it didn't happen. So I just dumped it down to the post, which is typically what you want to do. The CPU wanted me to isolate there with Noah, which didn't seem like a great idea to me. But most of the time the CPU will give you recommended shots that make sense 90% of the time. Occasionally it's going to suggest something that might not be your best shot if you unless you're running out of time on the shot clock. So swing the ball around here, get the ball. That's the pinch post right there, what they call the pinch post on that not stacked side of the triangle, and looking for cuts to the basket, and we get a couple of passes away. In triangle, having a little patience and moving the ball like that will get you some shots, or at least that's the idea. That's the goal of the offense. Now, what about three-point shooting in the triangle? So, I mentioned in 2K17 you're going to get shots based a lot around your personnel. Right here, I'm using a practice squad that's a later version of the Knicks that I have in my league, and it has more shooters on it. So you saw from the corner there, the point guard got a nice three-point shot. That's not something that the game would set up for Derrick Rose. Dynamically based on the adaptive coaching engine. Here's another that was recommending a three-point shot. I didn't take it because right now I'm just kind of showing you some of the actions that you'll get with different kinds of personnel on the floor. So if you play the triangle offense with a team that is stacked more with shooters, you're going to get, just like that one, that was a shooter, he missed it, you're going to get more uh, movement that's going to set up three-point shots. Now, right now, this actual lineup of personnel on the floor is probably a better four out or pace, spread the floor type of personnel set. But if they're really crowding your shooters out on the line and you want to change things up a little bit, you can play a roster like that with the triangle if you wanted to, and get some different kinds of looks until the CPU adjusts back at you again. More typically, though, in the triangle offense, you're going to get all these little cuts to the basket, little curl arounds. Occasionally, you'll get pin down screens from down low to set up maybe some shooters. Uh, Little handoff, didn't take the handoff. Instead, I spit it out to Kristaps for a three-pointer out there on the wing. Typical triangle is always going to look first for you to get you into the post, and then create around that with movement. Here we got a classic triangle action. We put the ball in the post, and there's Diallo, a center, but making that not a very mobile one, but still making the classic blind pig cut off the pinch post down to the basket for a layup. If the It's nice, you know, you don't always get. Right now, I just dumped that into a wide open paint to Kristaps. If it's there, take it. Triangle flows nicely when you can kind of get these kinds of nice open passes to the middle. You're not always going to get that. It depends on how the defense plays you. But because I've been making some shots here with shooters, the paint opened up. Triangle's not going to use a lot of pick and roll. You'll get some down screens, pin down screens from the corner occasionally. If you get the ball in the corner, you'll get a little corner curl screen. But here's a rare circumstance here where with a shooter on the wing, I got an animation for a straight up pick and roll without calling a manual pick and roll. You don't see that a lot in the triangle. Now you can call manual pick and rolls in 2K17 anytime you want, and you can do that in the triangle. There's nothing to stop you, but it will kind of break up the flow of the offense. Here again, I'm just kind of being patient, be patient, and then that was coming off of a pin down screen in the corner where I got a shooter for a jump shot, a mid-range shot. That's what you're more typically going to see in the triangle offense, even when you have shooters on the floor. Again, a little bit of patience. I'm being prompted to get that ball into the post. I didn't like the pass. Instead, I got that animation for a little. There would have been a pick and roll there in that corner, but that shooter had the space open. So when do you want to stop using the triangle in 2K17? There are times when if you start having some success with the triangle and you're getting these cuts to the basket and you're getting these mid-range shots off these little dump arounds by moving the ball, the CPU is going to adjust, and depending on the level of difficulty you're playing, it's going to adjust more quickly. And once that happens, you're going to start seeing like this happen in this clip. You see a lot of bumping, you get all people cluttered. The CPU is anticipating where your players are going to be. It's getting in the way of your players. It's impeding their movements. So all your motion-based offense is just getting bogged down. It starts to look like bumper cars. Look at the spacing right here. It's horrible. Look at everybody stacked around. It's ridiculous. When you start seeing that happen in 2K17, it's not that the triangle is never going to work, but if you start seeing that happening, it's because the CPU has adjusted to your triangle motion and it's time to change up your offense. Here I am stalled right there. The CPU wanted me, Ace wanted me to just ISO on the post with that point guard. I'm still not getting anywhere. This is a contested shot. Kristaps fumbles the ball a little bit. I mean, I get the ball in the basket, but that was a long possession, and it was just not smooth. Um, so that's when you want to get out of the triangle offense, when you see that happening and adjust into some other type of freelance. So here I'm just closing out with some typical triangle motions and actions. Again, I haven't gone into detail into the specific movements around the floor. Check out my last year video on triangle offense for more detail on that. But if you're going to use triangle offense, it's a viable option with different kinds of personnel. I wouldn't use it for a whole game. I wouldn't use any particular freelance in 2K17 for a whole game, but at least as an introduction to what this offense is trying to do and what kinds of shots it's going to get you and what it's built around philosophically, these are some typical actions you're looking at right here. So that's pretty much it. For more information on freelance offenses in 2K17, check out the freelance offense community wiki over on Operation Sports in the NBA 2K17 sports forums. And that's it. This is Lorenzo DC. I'm out.